I'm 81 years old. I'm sitting alone at the small kitchen table where my wife and I used to drink coffee every morning, and I finally understand something I spent most of my life avoiding. I lost my marriage after 42 years because I thought time would always wait. I'm not telling this because I want sympathy. I don't even know who I'm telling it for exactly. Maybe for someone younger who still believes tomorrow is guaranteed. Maybe just because the truth gets heavier when you keep it inside too long. And at my age, you start feeling the weight of everything you never said. The house is quiet now in a way that feels permanent. Not peaceful, permanent. There's a difference you don't understand until you're old. When you're young, silence feels temporary. When you're old, it feels like a decision you made years ago finally finishing its work. I wake up early these days. My body does that on its own. There's no alarm, no schedule to keep. I sit up slowly, wait for my joints to catch up with my thoughts, and for a moment every morning, I forget she isn't here anymore. That moment is brief, but it's cruel. I reach for the other side of the bed without thinking. My hand always finds cold sheets. Always. That's how most of my days begin now, with a small reminder that something important ended while I was busy believing it could never really go away. We met when we were young. Too young maybe, but that's how it was back then. I was 23. She was 21. Neither of us knew much about life, but we knew how to laugh together. That felt like enough. She had a soft voice and a sharp memory. She remembered birthdays, names, small promises. I didn't. I was never cruel about it. I just assumed she'd remember for both of us. I worked hard. That's always how I describe myself, and it's true. I worked long hours, took overtime, came home tired. I told myself I was doing it for us, for the future, for stability. She believed me, or at least she wanted to. In the early years, she waited up for me. Dinner would be cold sometimes, but she'd reheat it without complaining. She'd ask about my day, even when I barely had the energy to answer. I thought that was love, and maybe it was. But I didn't realize love needed more than endurance. Life didn't fall apart all at once. That's something people misunderstand. There was no single argument, no dramatic betrayal, no slammed doors. It eroded. Slowly, quietly, politely. Politely. There were moments I didn't attend because I was too busy. A school event, what having court, an EA tenant, because I was too busy. A weekend trip she wanted to plan. I always said, we'll do it later. Later became my favorite word. Later is a dangerous thing to believe in. When she talked about feeling lonely, I took it personally instead of seriously. I heard it as criticism, not as information. I'd say things like, I'm doing my best, or, you know how hard I work. And she did know. That was the problem. She knew everything about my job, my stress, my responsibilities, but I didn't know much about her inner life anymore. I didn't notice when she stopped sharing it. That didn't happen overnight either. She used to tell me about her thoughts while we washed dishes, about things she read, about worries she didn't have words for yet. At some point, those conversations stopped. I didn't notice when. I only noticed years later that the kitchen had gone quiet long before the marriage did. I thought consistency was enough. I came home, I paid the bills, I stayed faithful, I didn't yell, I didn't disappear. I believed those things were the foundation. What I didn't understand was that presence isn't the same as proximity. You can be in the same room as someone for decades and still slowly leave them. She aged faster than I did emotionally. She began asking questions I didn't want to answer. Questions about meaning, about what we were doing all this for. I told her not to worry so much. I told her things would slow down later, that we'd enjoy life when things settled. Things never settled. They just kept moving. Suddenly it was just the two of us again. Older, quieter versions of who we used to be. That's when the distance became impossible to ignore. She tried again then. She suggested counseling. She suggested walks, trips. sitting together in the evenings without the television on. I said yes in theory and no in practice. I was tired. I was set in my ways. I believed she'd always be there because she always had been. That belief is what cost me everything. The turning point wasn't an argument. It wasn't even her leaving. It was the doctor's office. She got sick. Not suddenly, slowly, like everything else. Fatigue at first, pain she brushed off, appointments she didn't tell me about because she didn't want to bother me. I went to one appointment near the end. I remember sitting in that plastic chair, listening to words that sounded heavy but distant. Prognosis, treatment options, time frames. Time frames. For the first time, time didn't feel endless. It felt counted. I remember holding her hand in the car afterward. Her hand felt smaller than I remembered, fragile, as if it had been slowly shrinking for years without me noticing. She looked at me then and said something I'll carry with me forever. "I waited a long time for you," she said, not angry, just tired. She didn't mean that moment. She meant our life. She didn't leave me. The marriage ended while she was still there, while I was still assuming we had years to fix things. When she passed, I became a widower on paper. But emotionally, I had already been alone for a long time. Loss doesn't always begin with death. Sometimes it starts with postponement. There are things I can never fix now. I can't sit with her and ask what she needed from me when she was younger. I can't go back to those evenings when she was waiting for conversation instead of silence. I can't give her the version of myself who finally understands that attention is not optional. The past is sealed, not frozen. Sealed. You don't get to reopen it just because you finally understand it. That's the cruel balance of aging. Clarity arrives when options are gone. People assume regret comes from failure. Mine came from delay. I didn't fail to love her. I failed to show up while I still could. Now when I think of her, I don't think of arguments. I think of small moments I dismissed, invitations I postponed, conversations I assumed would happen later. Later never came. If you're listening to this and you're younger, I won't tell you what to do. I don't have the authority for that. I'll only tell you what I believed and what it cost me. I believed time was flexible. I believed relationships were durable by default. I believed effort could be deferred without consequence. Those beliefs felt harmless at the time. They weren't. Love doesn't collapse loudly. It thins out. It fades when unattended. And by the time you notice, you're standing in the middle of something empty, trying to remember when it last felt full. I live quietly now. Talk to fewer people than I expected to at this age. I don't blame anyone for that. I understand it now. If this meant something to you, you don't need to do anything about it. Just notice the people you assume will always be there. Time doesn't wait. It doesn't warn you when it's about to stop offering chances. I have time left. Not much. Enough to tell the truth at least. And this is it. I loved my wife. I just didn't realize love required urgency until it was too late. That's something I'll live with for whatever time remains.